of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time, I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Where's that same devastation? Where's that same anger? Where's that same hurt for other American citizens who lost their lives to guns? When we talk about the loss of life here in America, if all lives matter, y'all got to start acting like all lives matter. I feel bad for any loss of life because it's not fair and it's not right for anybody to take somebody's life. That's not what we're put on this earth to do. I hate the fact that in this country that we live in, that violence is so rampant. Violence is the norm.
Download the new 1017 The Truth app now. Milwaukee Black Talk. 1017 The Truth. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
Ben Bruss here from ESPN Milwaukee, and I just want to officially declare I will be dominating bowling for babies.
Ben, it's charity bowling. You don't get a championship ring.
There are lanes, there are competitors, and there's going to be greatness.
Okay, but more importantly, WTMJ Cares Bowling for Babies is going to benefit the Milwaukee Diaper Mission.
So while I'm throwing strikes,
you're helping local families get essential baby supplies.
But we are also competing for 4 tickets to a Green Bay game and a VIP tailgating experience.
Sign up today at WTMJ.com/cares.
You are listening to the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations. 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Jeezy has been making hit songs for over 2 decades, with collaborations with high-profile acts like Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, Drake, and more. But the hip-hop game has changed a lot since he first started rapping. And Jeezy talked to me about how today it's really easy to release a song that immediately reaches a massive audience.
You can make a record in 3 minutes if you like. But the caveat is you can upload that record right there in your bedroom and reach millions of people. It would have took me millions of dollars to reach millions of people.
Jeezy compared the rapid evolution of music tech to advances in the kitchen.
You know, when I came up, we was on top of the skillet, and then there was a microwave, and now there's the air fryer.
And while he's a fan of a lot of new artists, he does warn that quality could suffer from being able to cook up a hit so fast.
When you don't put as much into something, you can't expect it to be there that long.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowes.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowes.com/same-day delivery.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping. Like a heartbeat's call, he's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. Clearly, I don't agree with modern day conservative and Republican policies. However, I do have respect for how they protect and take care of their people. If you live in a congressional district in Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, or a state senate district, or you live in a town where the sentiment is much more to the right than it is to the left, and the voters build their coalition, and they elect someone with their same political sentiment, there is a unity, even though I see fault in it, but it's a unity nonetheless of Republicans and conservatives. When they get elected, there is a script in which they follow. There's an agenda in which they execute. Now, the agenda is faulty. Sometimes it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. I could argue parts of it are even immoral. But they stick to the script. And voters do appreciate that. Even if the voters might be hurt by the political agenda, hey, this is what we elected them to do. We're just going to take the consequences with it. A Republican conservative voter in a small town that might not have a high-paying job might receive food subsidies and housing subsidies, but at the same time will vote for a Republican representative to reduce federal spending and cut people's food subsidies and housing subsidies. Even though they are going to get hurt, they elected that person to do that exact same job. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but there's a consistency. If I look at the city of Milwaukee, which it's grown, it's shrunk. Our industries have changed. We used to be a manufacturing town. We used to be a city of high production. Now we are a city of travel and leisure and tourism and all those other things. The demographics obviously have changed. We are, in fact, a majority minority city for the first time. And, well, it's been a while. Probably the last census or two, we've shown majority minority population here in the city of Milwaukee. The African-American community in this town has taken a lot of heat. If you don't believe me, check any comment section of any of our local journalism on Facebook or any social media, and if there's an issue or a problem or a violent crime involving an African American or in the black community, you just hear all of and read all of the awful comments that people say about us and how we live our lives. We take a lot of heat. We do. And we're very aware of that. And we vote for individuals who we hope will stick to our script. Because please know and understand that African Americans are just as, if not more, troubled by crime and by violence in our community than anybody else could be. And so when something happens, people make it seem like, oh, the black community clearly doesn't care. No, we do. In fact, I've had to spend an inordinate amount of time to let folks know that things like the 1994 crime bill was something that was wanted by African Americans. Because if you're working really hard every day and you're trying to take care of your responsibilities and your family, and you have gangs all around you, and you've got the crack epidemic taking place right in front of your face, but you and your family is not participating in that, you're a hardworking, decent, law-abiding family, you want all of those people put in jail. Their race be damned. So that needs to be noted. I have to always defend the African-American community in talking about how we don't want crime either. And so when we vote for people, we hope that they will begin to address those issues from a position and a place in which average, everyday citizens cannot. If you have the ability to make policy and to create ordinances and to put resources where they need to be so we can have a better community and a safer community, we elect you to do that. When the Republicans vote for their candidates, they are electing them to do something very specific. In some cases, in a small town somewhere, they might want to put prayer back in schools. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional to display the 10 Commandments. It's illegal to have that nativity scene in front of the courthouse, but they do it anyway because their voters directed them to do so. I actually admire it. You got Republican legislators that are willing to break the laws on behalf of their constituencies. There's a loyalty that exists. With the Democrats, it's not quite that easy because they are so fragmented and there's so many issues. But in this city in particular, because every single day we're seeing another video of a car theft, and you had the situation in front of the new concert venue in the Deer District where our Bucks Arena is, where the lady pulls out her firearm and then somebody shoots her all over a car accident. We get very frustrated by that. We really, really do. And we're tired of it. And so when we elect people to our council, I'm going to start with the council because that's the one that is the most evident and the most present. When the African-American community, who is sick and tired of all of the negative disparities and all of the crime, I assure you we are very, very fed up with it. We elect people that see the world as we do, and they can help remedy some of the problems, or at least address them from a policy standpoint. We'll do our part as best we can. We'll make sure that we are taking care of our responsibilities, that we are working with our neighbors, that we are attending neighborhood meetings, we're attending town hall meetings, and we're having discussions about the direction of our community. But we also need legislative support, because that is a formula that works. While there's a lot of stuff going on at the federal level, it always is going to come back down to what is happening locally. Trump is not my favorite person. Trump has us in a war. That's going to be what that's going to be. But at the end of the day, our garbage needs to get picked up. Our snow needs to get removed. Our utilities need to still function. The city of Milwaukee needs to function on behalf of its people. The federal government be damned. So when I read this article in our local newspaper about this vote, about Milwaukee being a sanctuary city, a lot of things came to mind. So my colleague, Dr. Ken, I think it may have been on yesterday's show or a previous show, I saw something about him asking who are the leaders in Black Milwaukee? Do we have any leaders? That's always a tough question because even if we did have a leader, we wouldn't follow him because I think we're all too independent and we're all too individual. Leadership is the work that people do behind the scenes that they don't need to promote or brag about that actually makes fundamental changes for the better. And sometimes these leaders are not recognized or realized until long after they are gone, but they laid a foundation that can be built upon, that can improve the lives of children and old people and middle-aged people and workers and people that are taking care of their families and their responsibilities. Leadership is not always out loud. Leadership is what you do quietly behind the scenes. It's that tough work that you do brick by brick by brick that you never get thanks for. But eventually, it can be some benefit at some point in the future. Do I think we have that? Absolutely. But is there one person? No. And even if there was one person, we would disagree on that person. If you don't believe me, we're going to have a presidential primary at some point. There's not going to be a single individual that we're going to agree on. So I don't believe in leadership as like a single person that you follow. Leadership are the things that you do to make things better for people you may never meet. For all of the years that I've worked in politics, and it's been quite a few, while being aware of the issues, especially the issues in the African American community, we longed for the day in which the black community that takes responsibility for everything that happens in Milwaukee, every ugly incident, every single crime, we get blamed for it, all of us. And because we share this skin color and we share this culture, it's always our fault. We as black people are blamed for the actions and activities of other black folks. Now, we know that we separate ourselves from them, and we also are individuals and have our own ability to make choices and have free will, but that doesn't matter. Because if you're unfamiliar with Milwaukee and with our community, you see crime and you assume all black people, even though we know you shouldn't do that. Like when I see a white person, I don't think, oh, mass shooter. I think there's mass shooters amongst them, but I don't think, oh, all the white people are mass shooters. I don't think that. That's not a very nice thing to do. But as black people, we can't escape the generalizations. And also just because there's been a tremendous amount of negative PR on the black community since, freedom. So I used to long for the day, and so did, my mentors and the people that shaped me as a political professional, where we could have a black mayor, a black county executive, you name it, black police chief, black chairperson of the county board, where we could be in these driving positions because the black community takes so much heat and there's so much responsibility on us for all of the crime and the ugliness in the city of Milwaukee, and we've always known that. We long for the day in which we could get a majority somewhere where the issues of black people could not just be recognized, not just be realized, but could be remedied because we would elect a group of people, a majority of us, that see the world the way we do, that want strong neighborhoods, good jobs, low crime, all of that utopia stuff. We have wanted that, and we have it, finally. In all of the years that I worked in politics, we longed for an African-American majority on the Common Council. Not only do we have that, we also have a black mayor and a black police chief. We got African-Americans in all sorts of leadership positions, and this is fantastic. Now, here's the other thing, and I've said this before. Just because black people make it to those positions does not mean that they can remedy racism. That is always going to be built in. But when you have a majority of African Americans on the Common Council, and the issues that have been the most profound and pronounced negative for our city have been on black people and in the black community, finally we've got 8 people of the 15 that can put together an ordinance that can begin to address some of these issues from a policy perspective. And so when I read this story about the vote that they are going to take or did take, and they sidestepped committee about calling Milwaukee a sanctuary city. A sanctuary city for who? Not us. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I want to dive into this because we were warned many, many years ago that African Americans were at risk of being permanent second-class citizens. I didn't believe it. I was like, no, that'll never happen. Eventually, demographics will be in our favor, and there'll be enough of us that will vote in elections and in towns and cities all over America. You will finally get African-American majorities where they can begin to use policy to address some of the issues that, quite honestly, white supremacy created. And now we have that in this city, and now we are sidestepping the power that we have as African-Americans to remedy some of our issues and calling Milwaukee a sanctuary city. Now, hold on before you freak out now. Listen, I think everybody that comes here should feel safe. You understand? But the people that have been here, that worked here, that saw deindustrialization and saw the crack epidemic and saw the mass incarceration that have just been raked over the coals, and now we finally have an African-American majority, and this is what we're doing legislatively? You got 2 Hispanics on that council. You got 8 black ones. And the legislative energy is on creating a sanctuary city. You got 1 Mexican on the one. Could you imagine if there was only 1 black common council member? So back when Vel Phillips was on the council, and the other members of the council, let's make Milwaukee a better place for African Americans with only 1 black alder. Black people couldn't even buy houses in the city of Milwaukee when Vel Phillips was alder. We have 1 Mexican on the Common Council, and now we're about to vote, or maybe they already did, on making Milwaukee a sanctuary city, which will only draw the ire of Donald Trump. We don't need to do that. We got problems and issues we need to work on right here. So we're going to talk about it today. We also have a YouTube poll up because I'm curious. What can I say? I have an inquisitive temperament. If you go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, it's a very simple yes or no question because we don't want to complicate matters. Should Milwaukee be a sanctuary city? It's a simple yes or no. I just want to see how you're feeling because I could be very off base. Maybe you all want Milwaukee to be a sanctuary city. Well, let's find out. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update on the new 101.7 The Truth.
The City Conference Boys Championship game did not disappoint last weekend. In the Gold Division title game, the 2-time defending conference champs, the Milwaukee Juneau Pioneers, went toe-to-toe with the Milwaukee Hamilton Wildcats. This game was a back-and-forth battle, but the Pioneers made the plays down the stretch to pull out a 76-72 win behind a great performance of Gonzaga recruit and junior player Dooney Johnson, who dropped 28 points in the victory. And in the Blue Division, the Golden Meyer Owls did what they have done all year long in conference play, is just win, as they defeated the Audubon Cardinals 87-79 behind a strong performance from their senior guard Caleb Colbert, clinching the Blue Division crown. And lastly, in the White Division, the Bayview Redcats left no doubt cruising past the Vincent Vikings 90-64 to win the White Division Conference tournament.
This has been your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
I have this list of the 5 most hurtful, damaging, harmful policies that have been enacted and enforced in the city of Milwaukee that dismantled the African American community. And it started with not just deindustrialization, but building the freeway. They just basically wanted to clear out the slums when they built I-43 north and southbound. 20,000 African American homes and businesses were destroyed, never to return. That was our bread and butter. Those were our assets. That was our entrepreneurship. That was our equity. Gone. It gutted our community. And then things started to deteriorate from there. And there's a whole list of things that I have here that have gone unaddressed. And if they've gone unaddressed in a city like this, because new problems arise. Every year, every decade, there's something else, something we never accounted for. There's going to be a recession. There's going to be a financial collapse. There's going to be, waves of crime are always going to take place. There's always something. There's going to be a military campaign, right? There's going to be a war. There's going to be social unrest. There's going to be a police-involved shooting. So there's always something that's going to happen that we didn't necessarily account for. But the issues that were already there, when they go unaddressed, they get worse. And if the result of those issues is a black community that's fragmented and fatherless and jobless and disproportionately poor and undereducated, and all these other issues are coming as well, it's problematic, because we, the black people, are going to take responsibility for all these things. But finally, we get a majority of African Americans on the Common Council. I'm just trying to explain this in a way where it has as much gravity for you as it has for me. In the years in which I was working in local, statewide, or even federal politics, this has always been the ideal, because we see how when white people get together and they own and control legislative bodies, they do everything for one another. They do, and I don't fault them for that. That is what the legislative process is. It's why we encourage people to vote. Vote. Put your people in office. Your people will take care of you, assuming they're not co-opted by special interests. That's what you do. And if we don't like it, well, then organize harder next time. And I got a level of respect for people that, even if I don't have their same political views, when they get out there and they march and they organize and they strategize and they register people to vote and they turn out in big numbers, or they vote by mail or they vote early, and their people get in, they should reap the rewards from that. That's the part of the system that I like. It's competitive. If we, and when we have the numbers, if we mobilize our people and we organize our people and we get to the polls and we get the best candidate in for our interest, that is victory. And then it happens in another district, it happens in the 6th district, and it happens in the 15th district, and it happens in the 1st district, and it happens in the 7th district, and it happens in the 10th district. And lo and behold, you have a majority of people on a legislative body that look like you, that see the same poverty, that see the same impact from segregation, that see the same impacts from low levels of education and poor student outcomes. They see the same thing. And now they have legislative power. Finally, they can band together and they can begin to focus on the issues that have gone unresolved in this town for decades. Finally. And then when we have that opportunity, a single Mexican on the Milwaukee County, or on the Milwaukee Common Councils, we're going to make this a sanctuary city. Wait, what? Listen, I'm not saying that I agree with how the Department of Homeland Security and ICE are handling deportations. That's not very nice how they're doing it. But Milwaukee has had issues involving and pertaining to and singling out the black community, which we take responsibility for it. Ain't that crazy? We as black people have been screwed over because we came to Milwaukee with nothing but the best of intentions. Do you think the black people came from the South to come to Milwaukee just to screw it up? You don't really think that, do you? We were courted. We were damn near begged to come here because they needed labor. They needed factory labor. Why did Milwaukee become the manufacturing capital that it was? Why do we have the breweries that we did? Why do we have all of the plants that we did? Because of African-American labor that union leaders went down south and recruited. We didn't come up here for the weather. And for a while, it worked. Now, were we treated poorly outside of our community? Yes. Were we limited in where we could live, where we could own homes and rent homes? Yes. Were the police terribly unfair to us? Absolutely. But considering where we came from, the segregated Jim Crow South, at least we had the opportunity to make money, to have a job. And a lot of folks wax nostalgic about that era because African Americans were employed. Now, we were limited in how far we could go geographically. Even if you had the money, they were not giving you a mortgage out in the suburbs. It was not happening. In fact, it was illegal. But crime was lower. Families were much more tight-knit. And then once we lost that foundation, which was our employment, everything else started to deteriorate quickly. And those issues, even 60, 70 years later, have not been addressed. I'm much more of a foundational person. So I'm what you would call an institutionalist. I believe that the departments that we have, the Department of Justice, I believe the Department of the Interior, the Environmental Protection Agency, they should operate, this is at the federal level, they should operate the way they were intended. Not by political influence, not you fire all the people, that aren't loyal to the president. These institutions are supposed to work as they were designed. And when you have that, you have a society that functions. We have to worry about our personal disagreements, but I want our institutions to function so we don't have to worry about them too, you see. And I want the institutions that are designed to help people and protect people and find people housing to do exactly that. So if we can just stick to that script, I think things could move a little bit better than they have been. But the fact that there have been so many issues unresolved impacting the black community, which we're responsible for. You got to keep in mind, when a black person shoots another black person, all black people become murderers. I get looked at differently when I go into an all-white neighborhood because somebody just saw the news story of a black person that just robbed somebody or something or stole a car. They're looking at me like that, even though it isn't my fault. And so my focus has been, well, let's remedy some of the causes, the root causes, because you can't incarcerate your way out of a problem. You can't. We've tried. It's failed. We're still doing it. We love doing stuff that is repeatedly debunked. Like war in the Middle East. I swear I thought we learned from that, but no, apparently not. So the issues that exist, especially in our community, they are particularly personal to me because I live in that community. I see them every single day. But finally, we have achieved something that a lot of us longed for 20 plus years ago, an African-American majority on the Common Council. Oh, finally, we can have 8 votes in the affirmative for an issue, for a policy that has gone unaddressed or unresolved, or we can modernize our perspectives on how we can implement better things for the black community. And we finally have this opportunity that we just longed for. But I think that we envisioned perfection when we were hopeful, like maybe one day we'll have a black mayor and black county executive. And then when we get them, we'll also have African-American legislators that can support that black mayor or that county executive. And we have it, but it's not exactly working out the way we had once envisioned it. From the Journal Sentinel, the city of Milwaukee has never been a sanctuary city, but now members of the city's Common Council are pushing legislation that would provide Milwaukee's public stance on how to respond to federal immigration enforcement. Let me be real clear. The city of Milwaukee and our legislators, our Common Council, they have nothing to do. Nothing to do. There's nothing they can do. If ICE wants to build a facility inside a city hall, legally, there's nothing we can do. But if you want to call yourself a sanctuary city, there is something that will happen. You will bring and draw the ire of this president. So we're going to have to deal with that, right? Whatever Trump is going to do, cutting off federal funding to Milwaukee will be the nail in the coffin for this town. At the same time, the issues impacting the African-American community are going to get put on the back burner yet again. This distraction of this sanctuary city stuff, I can't go for it. I can't. Listen, if you come to this country and you want a better life, cool. But you're assuming some risk now. And you got to understand that when you come here willingly, and you know how screwed up America is, and what's crazy is a lot of people that will come here for a better life will come here with animosity toward black people. They do. Because that's a part of understanding America. Oh, black people get screwed over. Black people are the ones you can discriminate against. Oh, okay, we'll do that too. But if you come here legally, you got to assume some risk. Now, what we cannot be doing is then mitigating the risk for people that willingly took it. I'm going to take a break, come back, continue our chit-chat. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving. You're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/VersityOnKing to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Many of our most important memories are made at school. But for children like Victoria, the classroom can be a place of fear and isolation. She wore a bandage over her cleft every day, too shy to speak, too afraid to smile. Everything changed after one life-transforming surgery made possible by Smile Train. Today, Victoria's smile lights up her classroom, a symbol of confidence, connection, and new beginnings. Due to stigma, children with untreated clefts often miss out on school entirely. But thanks to Smile Train, students like Victoria are stepping into the classroom, raising their hands, and finding their voice. Smile Train partners with local experts to support with free cleft surgeries and other comprehensive care, empowering children to thrive in school and in life. Let's help every child walk into the classroom with confidence. Visit smiletrain.org/learn.
Want to protect our planet? The air we breathe, water we drink, and land we share? Real progress begins with birds. Yes, birds. The very ones we see and hear every day. On a walk, in the park, or simply out the window. That's because birds are more than birds. They're symbols, sentinels that reveal the health of our planet and our people. And by helping them thrive, all of us thrive as well. Audubon is a place where birds matter, where habitats are protected, where communities are engaged, and where change takes flight. Because at Audubon, hope begins with birds. Progress begins with birds. It all begins with birds. Audubon.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Via the YouTube chat, Adam says, I think they just don't want the Hispanic community to suffer as the black community did. They can help both communities. You can't be serious with that, right? The issues that have precipitated the suffering in the black community have never been addressed. Maybe address those and then we can get to other people. The foundational issues that have gone undiscussed and unlegislated in the black community still are in existence. So forget those. We'll put those on the back burner. Let's make Milwaukee a sanctuary city. I can't stress this enough. If you are coming from another country, you have your own form of government there. You have your own democracy, or maybe lack thereof, there. You have your own history. You have your own culture there. You have your own food there, your own music there. If you choose to leave that and come here and pile your issues on to existing communities that exist, I can't have a lot of sympathy for you. Because they might have had a better chance of a revolution in their country and reforming their democracy than coming over here and then pushing to the side people that have fought and have marched and have struggled so that they can come here in the first place. Isn't that wild? The reason why there's the acceptance that there is of immigrant communities is because black people put together a whole civil rights series of decades to make people more accepted in America. And then what do we get for that? put on the back burner. And maybe I need to do a refresher every now and again. I have to do a refresher because people forget the racially restrictive housing covenants. So you ever wonder why Milwaukee's so segregated? You ever just stop to think? Like, oh, the black people want to live here and the white people want to live there. No, not exactly. I'll go in alphabetical order. Bayside. Quote, that all sections within which of the aforementioned lots are located shall be maintained exclusively as a first-class residential section to be owned, used, and occupied only by members of the white race unless the majority of the owners at any time owning the property in said sections otherwise consent in writing. It is not intended hereby, however, to restrict the occupancy of any part of said premises or any part thereof by domestic employees of a different race employed by an owner or occupant of said premises. So all of the white people in Bayside would have to vote on whether they would want a black person to live in their community. But you could be a domestic servant. You could be a maid. You could be a butler. You essentially could be a low-paid slave. That's perfectly okay. Date recorded August 2nd, 1939. Length of term, January 1st, 1965. Brown Deer, quote, no race other than a Caucasian race shall use or occupy any building on any lot in said subdivision. However, this covenant shall not prevent the occupancy of domestic servants of a different race employed by an owner or tenant. Signed, Meta S. Krause, December 17th, 1945. Term to expire January 1st, 1970. So for that period of time, it was literally illegal. Oh, I have one for every single suburb in Milwaukee County. It was illegal. Now imagine the issues and the problems and the equity that was kept from African-American families that had the money to buy the houses, but it was illegal to buy the houses in the nicer neighborhoods, in the safer neighborhoods, and in the neighborhoods that had the better schools. When issues like this go unaddressed and the harm that was caused is not remedied, the problem will get worse and worse and worse, and new problems will arise. If we're not addressing the foundations of problems in the black community, they will get worse. And the problem that I have is we as black people, we get blamed for this. This was signed and created by them. Cudahy. None of the buildings erected upon or in this subdivision shall be used to house either for business purposes or residence purposes any colored persons or other outside of the Caucasian race, and the conveyance of any lot or lots in violation of the restriction shall ipso facto constitute a forfeiture. If a black person moved in, they would foreclose on their house. Signed, Jerome C. Dretzka. May 16th, 1927, 25-year term in which no black people could live. Basically, the maturity of a mortgage. They didn't want any black people moving into Cudahy. That was a 25-year term that was to expire in 1952, which I'm sure was renewed. And what's interesting is, so the last name here, the person that was the developer that created Lincoln Terrace, which ultimately became Cudahy, his last name is Dretzka. Clearly, this is a racist. Clearly. I got his signature on the document saying how racist Jerome C. Dretzka is, and we have a Milwaukee County park named after him. Sometimes you don't have to go down south to see Confederate monuments. Ain't that crazy? Fox Point, quote, no part of said premises shall be owned or occupied by any person other than the Caucasian race, provided, however, that this covenant shall not prevent occupancy by domestic servants. They literally allowed for slaves. Domestic servants of a different race or nationality employed by the owner or the tenant. Signed, Douglas I. Schaus, November 15th, 1939. Length of term, January 1st, 1965. Franklin, Glendale, Greendale, Greenfield. Greenfield had several. Oak Creek was still farmland. It said no racial restrictions were found. River Hills, no racial restrictions were found. St. Francis, I'll read that one. No person other than the white race shall use or occupy any building or any lot except that this covenant shall not prevent occupancy by domestic servants of a different race domiciled with the owner or tenant. Date recorded November 17, 1940. Length of term, January 1st, 1966. Shorewood, South Milwaukee, Wauwatosa was the worst. They didn't just have a housing covenant for Wauwatosa. Wauwatosa broke down like these acres over here, this lot, these 5 lots. Wauwatosa got specific. Like no part of the geography of Wauwatosa. They have it like by individual subdivision in Wauwatosa. They went neighborhood by neighborhood. Each neighborhood in Wauwatosa had their own separate covenant. Washington Gardens number 2. The Westgate subdivision had their own covenant. Rogers Park, Ridgewood, all in Wauwatosa. They all had their own specific. Washington Heights, as you can imagine. Let's read that one. It says, Article 4, limitation of ownership. At no time shall the land included in Washington Highlands or any part thereof or any buildings thereon be purchased, owned, leased, occupied by any person other than the white race. This prohibition is not intended to include domestic servants while employed by the owner or occupants of any land included in this tract. So your domestic servant could live with you, and that's legal in this covenant. And ladies and gentlemen, this was enforced by the courts in Milwaukee County. And just imagine, fast forward, do you think that all of this goes away, all of the equity that was not acquired by black families? Just all of a sudden, like, oh, everything is fine now. Now you black people can afford to live there. We're talking about the foundations of generational wealth that Milwaukee participated in preventing black families from obtaining. Let's talk to that one guy. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Buenos dias, or as my alcoholic uncle would say, good Captain Morgan. Anyways, the answer to that poll is big fat no. Should not become a sanctuary city.
And you're a Mexican.
And I'll keep it up. And I'm so sorry that happened to you that one day at your house and on your front lawn, those 2 bad hombres just peeing on there, dude. Man, that angered me so much. That's so disrespectful on our part, you know. I'm sorry on their behalf, but for the simple reason, Sherwin, that we become a sanctuary city, it's not going to be just 2 bad hombres. It's going to be 4 of them peeing on your front lawn.
No, I got a feeling they won't be coming back. If they do so, they got to do it when I'm not home.
You should have called the police, man.
No. It was handled. Trust me.
I'm happy. Well, I trust you. And also, it's a bit late, but congratulations. I didn't realize you got married.
Thank you.
So happy for you. Right. Welcome to the club, man.
Thanks. I'm not wearing my ring, though.
Whenever the wives are being too feisty, man, you let me know. I'll give you some good advice.
Listen, I'm married, but don't tell my wife, okay? Just shh. Thank you for the congratulations.
I'm so happy for you.
All right.
I wish you many years of happiness.
All right. Thank you. All right, then. Don't tell my girlfriend that I'm married. Why would he bust me out like that, Andrew? Damn. The city of Milwaukee has never been a sanctuary city, but now members of the Milwaukee Common Council are pushing legislation that would provide Milwaukee's public stance on how to respond to federal immigration enforcement. On March 3rd, the Common Council approved a resolution declaring the body's opposition to how federal immigration enforcement activities are happening across the country. Milwaukee, you don't have national impact. There was a symbolic gesture that is going to ultimately cost us. And we don't know how it's going to cost us. Let's say that we had a program that the 8 Common Council that are black, they agreed on. And maybe it's some federal funding that we're getting, that we found a way to sneak some federal funding to address an issue impacting the African-American community that has been unaddressed for 50 or 60 years. Let's just say that happened. Because of this sanctuary city vote, which is simply symbolic, that money that could help our community could be pulled. We're not going to get anything out of this. And take a break, come back, continue our chat. And if you're one of my Mexican friends, I don't mean to offend you, because I got it. One of my Mexican friends texted me. He said he voted in the poll. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Where's that same devastation? Where's that same anger? Where's that same hurt for other American citizens who lost their lives to guns? When we talk about the loss of life here in America, if all lives matter, y'all got to start acting like all lives matter. I feel bad for any loss of life because it's not fair and it's not right for anybody to take somebody's life. That's not what we're put on this earth to do. I hate the fact that in this country that we live in, that violence is so rampant. violence is the norm.
Download the new 1017 The Truth app now. Milwaukee Black Talk. 1017 The Truth.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Feeling lucky? Then roll into Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee this March for Lucky Rollers. Every Thursday, we're giving away over $70,000 in prizes. Play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries, and you can roll out with $550 in reward play. Or get lucky and win your share of $16,000 in cash. Lucky Rollers, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Based on longitudinal research, census data, public health studies, and regional economic analyses, 5 structural issues that have had the largest negative quality of life impact on African Americans in Milwaukee since 1975. I'm giving you these examples so that you can better understand the lens in which we are looking through, which we hope can give a deeper level of knowledge to the problems that exist in the black community right now that have gone unresolved in my lifetime. This is just in the last 50 years. I could have gone back 70 years, but I'm just looking at the last 50. And so knowing these issues, because we read about them, obviously, and the black community feels these issues, the fact that they have gone unaddressed means that they have gotten worse. We have to begin by remedying these issues before we jump to something new. Otherwise, these unaddressed issues are going to spiral out of control. If you are diagnosed with cancer, but then you also get a hangnail, the cancer will metastasize. The hangnail is going to be inconvenient right now. You need to address the cancer, and we have not addressed the cancer that has impacted our community so profoundly. And it's gotten worse. And now we're at a point where, oh, well, it's black people's fault. No, it wasn't our original doing. We think the reparations will solve it. It won't, because even if reparations came in the form of a check, these institutional and systemic issues will still exist. And that's what I want to explain, because people sometimes don't see the institutional and systemic part of the problems that impact us still to this day. Number one is extreme residential segregation and spatial isolation. Milwaukee consistently ranks among the most segregated metropolitan areas in America. Milwaukee has some of the highest levels of black-white residential segregation in the country. The region's schools and neighborhoods remain as segregated as they were decades ago, with many black residents concentrated on the north side. The metro area's economic and social opportunities are geographically separated from many black communities. Quality of life impacts: 1, concentrated poverty; 2, limited access to high-performing schools; 3, reduced job access, especially suburban jobs; 4, lower property values and wealth accumulation; and finally, higher crime exposure. Let's talk to Diana. Diana, you're on 101.7 The Truth. Hi there, Diana.
Hi. So I just want to say that a few months ago I called in and I mentioned a particular realty company in Wauwatosa in the Washington Highlands area that supported this segregation, by their policies. But first I just want to say thank you for confirming that information. And then also I would like to say whether they're doing it legally or illegally, it's still being maintained by the residents that live there because, they're staying in their houses for as long as they can and then determining or living up to the contract when they sell. So
are you saying that right now, and we got to be real careful when we say this. So you are saying that right now in Wauwatosa, they're not allowing black people to purchase homes?
In certain part, in Washington Highlands, yes.
Have you applied for a mortgage for a home that was for sale and qualified and got the mortgage and got your pre-approval and they told you no?
Okay, again, this is what you did last time. No, I have not.
So how do you? I'm not doubting you necessarily, but when you make an assertion like that, you have to have some kind of proof.
Okay, and I 100% agree with that.
Okay, so now, so since you agree, I'm asking for your proof because this is a very serious thing.
I see the proof. Yeah, it is. And so why can't the proof be that I am a black person and I have been in that area and I don't see not one black family or of any other descent of family in that area, that specific area. I've lived there for years and I've never ever seen it. How could no one ever apply and not get in there if they qualify?
Diana, the number of African Americans that can afford a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 or $700,000 house and pay $10,000, $15,000 or $20,000 a year on property taxes, that number is so few and far between. And when we reach that level of financial security, we leave Milwaukee. So just because you don't see black families there doesn't mean that somebody is intentionally keeping us out. Some black families go to Atlanta. They go to D.C. They go to Chicago. They go to California. They go to New Jersey. They go to New York. So because you don't see black families there does not mean it was something that was intentionally done. Now, I'm giving you the foundation. But now, if you're black and have money, you leave Milwaukee. So that could be a reason why you don't see many black homeowners. Because quite honestly, if you were black, why would you want to live in that neighborhood anyway? That's their neighborhood. There would be no cultural attractions for us. There's nothing for us to do. If you raise kids in that neighborhood, you got to deal with the racism of the children. So just because you don't see black people there, sometimes black folks don't want to live around those kind of white people. That could be an explanation, too. We can't do that, y'all, to say, oh, I've lived over here and I don't see any black people. Yeah, but you live there. Yeah, that's different. I don't see any other black people. What we find is that if you're able to achieve a level of financial success in the city of Milwaukee and you're African American, the city itself and its institutions still treat you like you're poor. So a lot of our folks just leave. And you guys know that. Just think about how many people you know that are from here, that have moved, especially back down south, that are never coming back to Milwaukee. So don't be shocked when you don't see black people in certain rich neighborhoods. We don't want to live there. We'd rather live somewhere else. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
Ben Bruss here from ESPN Milwaukee, and I just want to officially declare I will be dominating Bowling for Babies.
Ben, it's charity bowling. You don't get a championship ring.
There are lanes, there are competitors, and there's going to be greatness.
Okay, but more importantly, WTMJ Cares Bowling for Babies is going to benefit the Milwaukee Diaper Mission.
So while I'm throwing strikes,
you're helping local families get essential baby supplies.
But we are also competing for 4 tickets to a Green Bay game and a VIP tailgating experience.
Sign up today at WTMJ.com/cares.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. You think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
We are the home of Milwaukee Black Talk. 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, talking about Milwaukee potentially being a sanctuary city for relatively new arrivals who have come from other places and spaces and may not have the necessary documentation and citizenship to be here legally and lawfully. Now, let me be clear, I think there should be a much better, easier, more streamlined process for someone to obtain their citizenship here. But until that process gets created or resolved or whatever, there's risk that you assume when you come here. And if there are individuals who have worked for many, many years and have organized for many, many years and have put in the effort to create the political coalitions to elect people that can help address unresolved issues for the black community, that should not be sidestepped. That needs to be respected. There are people that have been long suffering in this town because of their race, because of the color of their skin. And finally, we have a coalition of a majority black alderpersons for the first time in this city's history. 25 years ago, we thought that this was the ultimate way to begin to address some of the issues that we couldn't resolve because a majority white common council will never work or create ordinances to address the issues of black people. You guys know that does not happen. Only when an issue gets to crisis level will the Common Council act in a reactionary way, but they have never been good, especially when it was a majority white council or majority non-black council. They have never used their collective power to address structural and institutional racism. They haven't. Finally, we get majority black members, and we're able to do that. And I'm seeing this legislation about making Milwaukee a sanctuary city. And the reason why that's particularly dangerous is it doesn't change anything. It doesn't stop the federal government from doing anything. It obviously registers a complaint, but here's what I would say. Individual members of the Milwaukee Common Council that do not like Donald Trump's immigration policies, then they can go to Washington, D.C., and they can go and lobby their members of Congress. That's what they can do. But what they shouldn't do is drag the city of Milwaukee into this symbolic ordinance, which does nothing and repairs nothing and fixes nothing, but it will draw the ire of the president. If Milwaukee can fly under the radar of Donald Trump, we can get a whole bunch of stuff done, but we don't unnecessarily need to draw his attention. And this sanctuary city vote does exactly that. It's almost like they don't want the African-American community, the issues, the structural and institutional issues, to ever get addressed. So I'm going to go through the 5 most damaging, unresolved issues that have been impacting the black community just since I've been alive, since 1975. The first one was the extreme residential segregation and spatial isolation. The second one is the collapse of industrial employment and persistent black joblessness. Milwaukee's economy historically depended on manufacturing, which collapsed in the 70s through the 90s. Deindustrialization eliminated thousands of unionized manufacturing jobs that previously provided stable income for black workers. Now, I'm not expecting the Common Council to bring those jobs back, but there was an impact that was created with the loss of those jobs. We need to begin to use ordinances to address that impact. Black household income in Milwaukee is dramatically lower than white households. Now, this also goes back to the housing segregation. Household income in Milwaukee for African Americans, on average, $28,928 versus white household income annually. You ready for this? $66,097. It's literally double. Real income for black households declined over several decades, and black male unemployment rates have fallen since 1970. Employment rates have fallen since 70. The quality of life impacts by the aforementioned high poverty rates, reduced family stability, generational wealth stagnation, increased dependence on informal or low-wage service jobs. Why does that matter? Milwaukee has lost exactly the type of jobs that historically enabled upward mobility for black folks during the Great Migration. Number 3, mass incarceration and criminal justice disparities. Wisconsin has some of the largest racial incarceration disparities in the United States, and Milwaukee is the epicenter. Wisconsin has the highest black male incarceration rate in the nation, full stop. In Milwaukee County, more than half of black men in their 30s and 40s have served time in prison. One Milwaukee zip code, 53206, became nationally known for extraordinarily high incarceration rates. Black incarceration rates are about 10 times higher than the white rates in the region. So the Department of Workforce Development, they did a study. Now, it's an old study, but I love referencing it because it puts things into a perspective. From 1990 to 2012, it was something like 5 zip codes in Milwaukee County comprised like 40% of the state's prison population. And here's the statistic that I'll never forget. Between 1990 and 2012, this is the years in which they were focused on for this study, black men had spent a combined total of 42 million days in jail. Astronomical. So that's time in which they were not with their families, not raising their children. They were not earning a wage. They were not building a resume. 42 million days in prison in a span of 22 years. Insanity. Let's talk to Adam. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I made a comment earlier on the chat line, and then you kind of elaborated and helped me understand your point more. So I do agree with you now. I guess as a white man who was kind of raised in a racist household, I'm trying to unlearn a lot of things. And a book that helped me do that was called The Color of Law, kind of talking about how people segregated the black community legally, quote unquote, and just kind of all the obstacles that you have to face to just build up generational wealth and even just to buy a home. So, yeah, thank you for explaining your point better, and I appreciate you doing what you do.
Adam, oh, no. I'm not done with you yet. So where'd you grow up? Like a suburb, I'm assuming?
I grew up in northern Wisconsin, Marinette.
Oh, sure. I'm familiar with Marinette. Probably not a lot of racial diversity in the schools you went to, right?
I think we had one black kid in our whole high school.
Okay. What a courageous soldier he or she was. So what were conversations like in your home? Did race come up?
Well, I mean, even it was just like comments, and Fox News being on the TV at all times. But even now, like trying to convince my parents that it's systemic and it's not just personal failures. It's a system set up to hold the black community back, and they just don't want to believe it. So I don't really know. Like they don't even believe Trump's a pedophile with all the evidence. So I don't really know how you break the mindset of a person who believes in white supremacy. I am trying to work on it, but with my parents, but I don't know if it's possible, honestly.
How old are you, Adam?
I'm 33.
Okay, you got a little time left. All right. Well, keep fighting the good fight, brother. Vote Democrat.
Thank you.
All right, then, Adam. I'm glad he called. You said you guessed 31. Andrew, why would you guess he's 31? 33 sounds plausible.
When he called in, he talked about Fox News being on. I knew that it had to be in that like peak Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity time, and I was like, he's got to be 31, 33. So I was close.
Good guess. All right, yeah, that. I think that we as black people, we discount and sometimes discredit the developmental environment of some white people that grow up in households like that. Being pro-white and being a racist, and they don't use the term racist. So it's like, oh, I'm just sticking up for my people. White people suffer too, and the Irish were slaves, and blah, blah, blah. They discount and discredit the systems and the institutions that made it impossible for black progress. They believe, especially with the help of media and with our faulty education system, because if you go to a public school or even a private school in the state of Wisconsin, they are not teaching children about structural and institutional racism. There's going to be a unit on slavery. There's going to be a unit on Dr. Martin Luther King. There may be a mention of Black History Month, but probably not. That's it. And so the other influences that those children get, those young people get, are profoundly anti-black. Like everything is a black person's fault. We're all dangerous. We're all criminals. We've all been to jail. We don't work hard. We don't take care of our kids. And when that is reinforced in the home and when that is being reinforced by media, it's really hard to break out of that. And then you bring somebody like that. It doesn't even have to be somebody from Marinette. It could be somebody who grew up, in Waukesha or Dodge County or Washington County or Milwaukee County or, God forbid, Racine. And they come to the city of Milwaukee and they see the crime, they see the shootings, they see the car thefts, and it fits right in just like a jigsaw puzzle piece. Like, yep, this is what I've always known and been told about black people. They never even once, because they don't have to, they don't think critically about, like, wow, why is it like this? Why is it in every single community in America, there's an African-American, space or place where there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of fatherlessness. They literally just think it's our fault. It's because the issues have gone unaddressed. Back from when slavery existed, then you had a full century. I don't know if people appreciate that either. 100 years of Jim Crow. That's 3 generations of Americans. It was solidified in their minds that black people were inferior, that we were faulty. And if you remove people from opportunity, if you water down our education, don't give us job opportunities and professional opportunities, and you over-police us, we are going to be stuck. And that problem is not going to resolve itself because the same white folks that created that system also have to be, like, their lineage has to be participatory in breaking that system down because they are the ones that created it. But unless we address these issues, nothing is going to get better. And so by creating a sanctuary city here in Milwaukee, we are literally overlooking and ignoring unaddressed issues that have specifically impacted the black community and say, well, let's be welcoming to all of these other people. Now, look, I have no issue with folks coming over here, but just know that if you come to this country, you have to assume some risk. And I don't know why they don't see that, because being black, you are born assuming risk, and I'm a damn citizen. But to think that we have to put forth some kind of legislative action to protect people that came here willingly, assuming that risk, is insane to me. It is a waste of legislative power. It is a complete waste of legislative power. Number 4, hyper-segregated, underperforming school systems. Over 72% of black students attend hyper-segregated schools. 90+% minority enrollment. The schools are more segregated now than they were in the 1970s. Now remember, when you know where all of the black kids are, when you know what schools they're in, when you know what neighborhoods they live in, those are the neighborhoods that you can defund and under-resource, and you're only going to be hurting black kids. Segregation makes it easy to continue the harm, because if you know in this geographic area, in this census tract, these are all black schools, all black students, this is where they get the least amount of resources, the least trained teachers and staff, the oldest, most faulty, outdated technology. Because you know that when you give those low-level resources to these schools, you're not harming white kids. And then they'll say, oh, no, our schools are underfunded. Well, these black schools are anyway. We need a referendum. And people say, you know what? We agree. Those schools are underfunded. We'll vote for your referendum. But where does the money go? The money is segregated, too. That's what people are failing to see. The schools that don't need the additional resources still get them. Just like wealthy people that don't need a tax cut, they get them anyway. They didn't even ask for them. They get them anyway. The schools that are performing the highest, that don't need more money, we would be better off if the lower performing schools got some of that money, but they never get it. They maintain those low performing schools because if we tell you it's nothing but black kids in those schools, you'll always believe they're low performing. But you got to maintain some low performing all black schools on your books so you can always ask for more money. The district will say, well, look at these schools. They need more money. And we say yes, like a bunch of idiots. It's almost like we continue to go to war in the Middle East with no positive measurable outcomes, yet we keep on doing it. They keep asking for referendum money, they keep getting it, and we find ourselves in the exact same position with the same underfunded schools. People haven't even stopped to question that. You haven't questioned that? That we've given the district $340 million since 2020, and it's gotten worse? You ever wonder why that is? Anybody ever stop to think just for a second? Like when you're sitting at a red light, you ever, these schools have not improved at all, yet I voted for another referendum. My rent has gone up. My property taxes has gone up. This is peculiar. Hyper-segregated and underperforming school systems. Over 72% of black students attend hyper-segregated schools. Oh, I've made an error. I said more segregated than they were in the 80s. This says in this article, the rate is similar to the level seen in the 1960s. So we have basically Jim Crow era schools in Milwaukee in 2026. But it's a sanctuary city, though. So that's cool. That's pretty sweet. Underfunded schools and declining property tax bases have even widened educational gaps. Lower graduation rates, reduced college attainment, lower lifetime earnings, greater likelihood of incarceration. Why it matters. Education is the primary mobility pathway, and structural school segregation undermines long-term economic progress. But for some reason, we think that the young people that attend these schools can automatically go into the trades. I spent 2 hours yesterday talking about how 50% of the country reads at a 6th grade level or below. Y'all need to stop it with that, because we're still continuing to blame black people for structural and institutional issues that were not our fault, but then saying, hey, black people, go be a welder. You have to know math and fire. You know, you don't want to not know math and then give somebody fire. I feel like that would be problematic. We'll take a break, come back. continue marching on down the list of things that have gone unresolved, even though we have a majority black common council, it appears that sanctuary cities are on the top of the legislative agenda. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship because that for them is free.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
It starts with a spark. At Milwaukee College Prep, they nurture that spark from age 3 through 8th grade, building scholars with knowledge, character, and confidence. 88% of their students face economic hardship, but that does not define them. At MCP, they see students' potential, and they help them live up to that potential. 4 campuses, 1 mission. College and beyond, MCP is free, high-performing, and open to all Milwaukee families. Visit MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com to enroll or get involved. That's MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com.
Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Concentrated poverty and public health inequality. I'm just going through a list of unresolved issues that have impacted the African American community that may better explain some of the things that you see, because these things that I've listed that have gone unresolved have gotten worse, and they manifest themselves in crime and fatherlessness and incarceration and over-policing. And it's also a result of defunded and underfunded public education institutions. So what you see in the newspaper, all the headlines that you guys see and all the nasty comments that you say about black people when you hear about another murder, when you hear about another car theft, I'm telling you where it came from. And we didn't do this. That's the other part that I'm trying to explain to folks, because now people don't know history and they don't know 100 years of Jim Crow even impacted black people in the North. And if these issues go unresolved, they are going to get worse. But at the same time, we want to forget about all of this, allow these issues to get worse, because as long as it's a black people problem, then now everybody else doesn't have to worry about it. But I assure you, we are a community, whether you want to think so or not, it will impact you too. Your tax dollars are going to deal with unresolved issues. It's a better investment if we begin to address these. And so we've always known of the things impacting the black community since deindustrialization. We've always known them. And we thought some years ago, my early days in politics, better than 20 years ago, one day we'll have an African-American majority on the Common Council, and they will begin to use their legislative power to start resolving some of these issues or applying resources in places where they are needed now, where they were missing or they were stolen some time ago. Right? We thought that would be the utopia. Well, now we have a majority black Common Council, and they're voting on Milwaukee being a sanctuary city. So overlooking a lot of the issues that have been fixed structurally and institutionally, and now we want to make sure that people that elect to come here that don't want to assume the risk. That's the thing, and I'm not trying to sound cold. I'm being objective here. If you go someplace in which you know you are not legal, you're assuming some risk, and you're taking that risk. Okay, cool. I admire a risk taker, but you should not expect to be protected. It's like if somebody commits a crime. I'm going to use a different analogy. If somebody commits a crime and they flee and they go somewhere else, the place that you go to, you shouldn't assume protection. What if all of the felons and all of the criminals of Milwaukee of any race decided they wanted to descend on St. Cloud, Minnesota? And let's say St. Cloud, Minnesota's got an opioid crisis. Let's say they have a housing shortage. Let's say there's a lot of joblessness and a lot of unemployment in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Let's just assume that. Let's take race out of it completely. And the people in St. Cloud, Minnesota have wanted remedy for the opioid crisis and the joblessness and the housing shortage. And finally, they've elected people that can address those issues. They've elected people that have dealt with and also seen the opioid crisis and the unemployment rate and the housing shortage. And now they've elected those people in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and they finally have a majority of people that have experienced some of those issues. And now they're elected, and they're going to work with the community, the voters that put them there, and they're going to work on the issues. But then all of a sudden, all the criminals from Milwaukee descend on St. Cloud, Minnesota. St. Cloud, Minnesota says, you know what? All the issues can wait. All the issues that you elected us to do can wait. We're going to protect the criminals that came here from Milwaukee. We're going to make sure they have a safe space. Could you understand why the people in St. Cloud, Minnesota that maybe have waited and worked and organized and voted for a full generation to get a group of people elected to that legislative body that can begin to address those unresolved issues, and then the criminals from Milwaukee descend on St. Cloud, Minnesota, and then that's who gets sanctuary? I am not calling the people that come here legally criminals, but I need you to understand the analogy so you can better conceptualize how we feel. You would feel betrayed. And here's what's crazy. The amount of time, effort, and energy that I'm going to have to spend to convince you all to vote for these same members of the council is going to be more energy than I think I have. Because why would you? Think about it. Why would you? They're using their power to prioritize somebody else. Roughly 39% of black residents live in poverty compared with 15% of white Milwaukee residents. Black infant mortality, teen pregnancy, and health outcomes rank amongst the worst in the United States. Mortality rates among black residents are substantially higher than those white residents. Quality of life impacts, shorter life expectancy, higher chronic disease rates, economic stress on families, higher childhood disadvantages. And so what is the city of Milwaukee doing about that? The city of Milwaukee has never been a sanctuary city from the Journal Sentinel, but now members of the Common Council are pushing legislation that would provide Milwaukee's public stance on how to respond to federal immigration enforcement. On March 3rd, the Common Council approved a resolution declaring the body's opposition to how federal immigration enforcement activities are happening across the country, mentioning the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy during the largest federal immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis earlier this year. Why in the hell are we looking at Minneapolis and what happened in Minneapolis? Minneapolis can handle what's going on in Minneapolis. And what did Minneapolis do? They work together, they protested, and ICE is gone. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Why are we wasting a moment of legislative energy in this city looking at another damn city in another state? in which we in the city of Milwaukee have zero impact. That's why I'm frustrated. What this council is doing and what is making the news and our number one news outlet here in the city of Milwaukee, we have no measurable impact on it. The only thing it will do is draw the ire of Donald Trump, and we don't need to do that. We've waited the whole history of this city to have a majority black common council to begin to address the issues that weren't created by us and that have gone unresolved. And they're looking at, the council is looking at stuff that happened in Minnesota and putting together legislation here for that. Minnesota's not even going to say thank you. The resolution calls on the federal government to de-escalate the tactics being used during the federal immigration enforcement actions, commit to respecting and upholding constitutional rights, and request that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency avoid conducting civil immigration enforcement activities in Milwaukee, given the agency's, quote, unusual and reckless approach in other cities. Do you think the Trump administration is going to respond to this? If the Trump administration runs out of toilet paper, they will wipe their hind parts with this legislation. Donald Trump has put this country into a war that nobody wanted. His party didn't want it. His voters didn't want it. Do you think that he's going to look at a symbolic vote in Milwaukee and say, wait a minute, Milwaukee doesn't like my immigration and customs enforcement. Let me change direction because Milwaukee doesn't like it. It's just a wasted effort that is going to have negative consequences for a city that doesn't need more negative consequences. It's one Mexican on the county, on the Common Council. One. Now, this bodes well for her. If Milwaukee has a vote to call it a sanctuary city, which it doesn't protect anybody here, that's the thing. It is empty legislation. It's symbolic. It doesn't do anything, okay? But if Jocasta Zamaripa, who is running statewide to be the next Secretary of State, can say to her Latino and Hispanic potential voters statewide that while she was on the Milwaukee Common Council, she helped orchestrate a vote to call Milwaukee a sanctuary city, that is a great political accomplishment for her as she's running statewide. Remember, this is the same Jocasta Zamaripa that stole legislation from a black alderperson. And then when the black alderperson got upset that his legislation was stolen, because they stole his legislation and then did a press conference on it and didn't even invite him. So when he, the black alderperson, goes into her office to say, yo, not only did you steal my bill, you did a press conference on it so that you can pedestalize your statewide political agenda. She told him to get the F out of her office. And she thinks that we're going to vote for her when she runs for Secretary of State. Hell, I'd rather vote for Trump. Don't let Trump run for Secretary of State. He might get a vote from me. The Trump administration says its immigration enforcement actions fulfill the promise the president made on the campaign trail to seal the nation's borders and root out people living in the country without documentation. Any legislation passing through the council requires sign-off from Mayor Cavalier Johnson. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to see how the mayor feels. Because remember, the mayor's black, too. And the mayor lived and grew up in a city that had unresolved social, economic issues, et cetera, et cetera. Right? The mayor knows. He knows the issues in the city of Milwaukee that have gotten worse because they have not been looked at, they have not been addressed, they have not been rectified. So with the council, which is a separate legislative body, them voting to create sanctuary city status for Milwaukee, I'm wondering how the mayor is going to feel about that. So we'll talk about the mayor's response on the other side. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talent acquisition at goodkarmabrands.com.
If someone asks you to send cash, pay with gift cards or cryptocurrency, or use a banking app or wire transfer, practice caution. These payment methods usually cannot be reversed or tracked, making them a scammer's tool of choice. If the person asking for money refuses to accept another form of payment, it's a scam. Learn more at datcp.wi.gov. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection.
Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
The worst kind of whites, not that I'm picking on white folks, but you know how it goes, is the ones that think that they will lose something if this country becomes more fair and equal. I'm going to say that again. The worst kind of white people are the ones that think that if a black person gets a job and gets an opportunity and they ignore how hard the black person had to work and the racism, the bigotry, and the discrimination, and just how people turn their noses up at smart black people. They hate us. And the black person works really hard and overcomes maybe generational curses of poor health and poverty and all of those things. And we got to deal with the police and the criminal justice system that doesn't often have our backs. And then the black person gets a job, gets an opportunity, and a white person sees that and thinks that they lost. Those are the worst kind.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 to noon. Catch it live on YouTube or tune in to 1017 The Truth.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Any legislation passing through the council requires sign-off from Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Jeff Fleming, Johnson's spokesman, said that the mayor's office is sensitive to the implications of declaring Milwaukee a sanctuary city, a move which would limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities to reduce the deportation of undocumented residents and the legislative package passed by the Common Council. Quote, "We want to make sure we are protecting the taxpayers of Milwaukee, at the same time protecting immigrants." He noted that Johnson will carefully look at the language of the legislative package with City Attorney Evan Goyke. The legislation introduced by by the communists. The legislation introduced by Alderman Alex Brower was pulled out for discussion at council on May 3rd, a rarely used move by members that bypasses committee discussion and approval. So this is some Trump-like stuff. So no, we don't want any discussion on creating sanctuary city status for Milwaukee. We don't want to have other council members discuss it and have them register their disagreements or opposition. We're going to pull it out of committee. Here's the thing about the 3rd aldermanic district that is so different and unique about any other districts in the city. So, Milwaukee is a segregated place, right? You have some aldermanic districts, like the 15th is an example, that it would be Alderman Russell Stamper's district, Northside District, where the average income is probably $25,000 a year. Maybe 50% of the residents have a high school diploma, double-digit unemployment. It does contain the 53206 zip code, high number of fatherless children and incarcerated adults and low voter turnout, high negative health disparities, infant mortality, all of that, okay? So probably one of the worst socially aldermanic districts we have in the city. The 3rd district is the most educated, the wealthiest. It's like Lake Drive. Brady Street on East is the 3rd aldermanic district. So the residents in the 3rd district don't need anything. They have no social want because it is the wealthiest, most educated. Hell, you got a university in the district. Their biggest issue is parking at UW Milwaukee. They don't need anything. They don't want for anything. And so when you have an alderperson that serves a constituency that literally needs nothing from city government, they can do weird stuff like this because the constituents don't care. They don't need anything. Where in the 15th aldermanic district, people need, jobs, income, education, better investments in schools, job training. In the 3rd district, they need nothing. And so their alderperson, Alex Brower, can just kind of make stuff up. Hey, you know what, you guys? You want to because I'm in my office, dude, and nobody really calls my office because my constituents are rich. Dude, you want to make Milwaukee... You want to make Milwaukee a sanctuary city, dude? And then you got Jose Perez. Ooh-wee. Our Puerto Rican council president. He's had some bad PR over the past couple of weeks. But whatever you do when you see him, do not smack him on the butt. He really hates that. No, I'm serious. He doesn't like it. He gets upset. The legislation introduced by Alderman Alex Brower was pulled out for discussion in council on March 3rd, a rarely used move by members to bypass committee discussion and approval. Members who have sought to take a stance on ICE and immigration enforcement activities across the country welcome the discussion. So we're assuming a lot of these people are Latino and Hispanic coming from Central America and South America, and, they want a better life here. Right, but you have African Americans who have been here and who have been suffered and who have struggled and have died by police boot, gun, baton, housing segregation, underfunded schools, all of that. But the white 3rd district alderman is prioritizing people that elected to come here instead of the people that have been here struggling. That's the part that I don't get. It's like white folks get to pick and choose who they help. It doesn't matter. We seem to think that the rights that we have obtained as black people, that we earned them. No, they were given. They were given by people like Alex Brower, and then people like Alex Brower can be like, you know what, blacks, I've had enough of you. Let me find another group to make my pets. Now, that's literally how they think. We as black folks, we underestimate how much they actually hate us. We do. We do, because they can be nice to us and they smile at us. We got to stop inviting them to the cookout. I know some of y'all aren't going to like that because, you see a white person that does something that's black and stereotypical and we get so enthralled by it, we're inviting them to the cookout. They'll never invite you to theirs. I guarantee you ain't never been to a white person's house. We see a white girl that can dance or knows how to twerk and, she invited to the cookout. She will never invite you to hers. We are supposed to be the ones to just be all forgiving and, they'll get around to African American issues when they feel like it. Let's just be patient. Patience has run out. If you guys don't understand where politics is right now, it's cutthroat. Look what Trump is doing. He just took our country to war because he wanted to. And we over here just like, well, they'll get to us eventually. It's been 400 years. How long are we going to have to wait? Brower said he had received guidance from the city attorney's office that such declarative legislation could result in Milwaukee being placed on a list of sanctuary cities maintained by the White House. Here's what Alex Brower said. You ready for this? I want to end up on that list. The white Democratic Socialist alderman representing the wealthiest district in the city of Milwaukee wants to put Milwaukee on a list that will draw the ire from Donald Trump while we have generations of unresolved issues pertaining to the African American community. We still need funding from the federal government. We still need to work with and cooperate with the federal government. I know you don't want to. I know it's a very difficult task, but we have to because the resources and the money that we need still come from the federal government, especially if we want to have different programs that can help address and resolve some of the structural and institutional issues that have impacted the black community since we arrived here. Alex Brower said he wants the city of Milwaukee on a list that will draw the ire of Donald Trump. He gets to do this because his constituents need nothing. Therefore, he gets bored. Well, let's put the city on a list that Trump is going to pick from to destroy. That's also why they pulled this legislation from committee, because I know several members of that committee would have openly disagreed, and their disagreements would have been on the record, would have been public. But that process was not allowed to take place. And also, when they pulled this legislation from committee, you know what that did? It silenced your voice, because I know that there are people in this town, community organizers and activists, that would have, let's just say, registered their disappointment and disagreement at a committee meeting, because committee meetings are public. But they didn't have the committee meeting, so they didn't want to hear from the activists and the people that organize in our community that are trying to work to make sure things are better for Black Milwaukee. This is infuriating, and we have a majority Black Common Council. And you probably got a couple of Black members or two that are voting to make Milwaukee a sanctuary city. I came up in a time where you had Black power as a political theme running through the beating hearts of our Black elected officials. Whether it be Johnny Morris Tatum or Polly Williams or James White or Lee Holloway, they prioritized our community with everything that they did. Now, they didn't get as much done as they wanted to because we still had majority white legislators, all white mayors, all white county executives. But their fighting for our community was never ending. Even though they weren't going to get the ordinance passed, even though the hard work that they put in on behalf of our community may never get realized, they lived in the dream that one day we would have Black majorities where the things that they put forth for our community would have enough of a majority vote to actually pass and make a difference. We are at that point, and now Milwaukee is going to be a damn sanctuary city. It's not like Black people can go somewhere else. That's another one of the issues that I have. If you don't like where you're at in your country, because I'm not saying it isn't bad there, you can then say, let's go to America. And then have America protect you. At the same time, overlooking the people that were already here that have been fighting and voting and marching and protesting, burying relatives because we were killed by the police and killed by the system, burying children because of the high level of infant mortality that Black women are facing. And then somebody else decided they want to come on over and we protect them. I want to end up on that list, Brower told council members, later adding, quote, "This resolution does not affirmatively say that we are a sanctuary city or have an ordinance implications that we want ICE abolished. The city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County have never issued ordinances or resolutions or sought designation that would officially make either jurisdiction a sanctuary city for immigrants." Alderman Robert Bauman said the city attorney's guidance was raising a, quote, hypothetical possibility of Milwaukee declaring itself a sanctuary city. Quote, and Bauman, who's also a lawyer, says, somebody in the White House might get angry about that. Might, maybe, could, would, Bauman said. Fine, take the risk, full speed ahead. We have to respond to the very legitimate demands of thousands of constituents who are looking for action and leadership by the council. I don't even know what that means. In May of 2025, Milwaukee and several other Wisconsin municipalities landed on the White House's list of sanctuary jurisdictions for allegedly defying the enforcement of federal immigration law. A month later, the Trump administration removed the list, which was later reposted without Milwaukee on it. So we were on the list, got taken off the list. Now Alex Brower wants to put us back on the list. I'm going to take a break, get a sip of coffee, take a deep breath. We'll be all right. Well, the good news is it's a sanctuary city, so that's cool. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This is Sherwin Hughes from The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. And Truth Nation, you can now watch my show live on YouTube every day from 9 a.m. until noon. Yep, you can get 3 full hours of watching Sherwin doing his thing streaming live on YouTube Monday through Friday. You'll get the same insightful conversations about policy, politics, and lifestyle while also seeing my reaction to the unpredictability of our listeners. So go to YouTube right now, subscribe to 1017 The Truth, and see this wonderful smile live every day.
This is your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update on the new 1017 The Truth.
The City Conference Boys Championship game did not disappoint last weekend. In the Gold Division title game, the two-time defending conference champs, the Milwaukee Juno Pioneers, went toe-to-toe with the Milwaukee Hamilton Wildcats. This game was a back-and-forth battle, but the Pioneers made the plays down the stretch to pull out a 76-72 win behind a great performance of Gonzaga recruit and junior player Dooney Johnson, who dropped 28 points in the victory. And in the Blue Division, the Golden Meyer Owls did what they have done all year long in conference play, is just win, as they defeated the Audubon Cardinals 87-79 behind a strong performance from their senior guard Caleb Colbert, clinching the Blue Division crown. And lastly, in the White Division, the Bayview Redcats left no doubt cruising past the Vincent Vikings 90-64 to win the White Division Conference Tournament.
This has been your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update.
Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. We're a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals, the plates are piled high with flavor, and a lakefront sunrise sets the stage. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring, a place that welcomes you with open arms and where joy is shared in bites, beats, and cheers. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving. You're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/Versity on King to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Mal has a couple of questions. Mal, you got to proofread, buddy. But I'm going to read your questions as you type them. And I got to translate them. He says, how comes Milwaukee is the cash cow of this state, yet can't do much to get some type of development for the city while the rest of the state is building up? So I'm going to try and translate that. So the Republicans control the Wisconsin state legislature and they create the budget. Now, the governor, who is a Democrat, has the ability to do line item vetoes and essentially restructure line items and sentences in the budget to form new sentences, but it's not enough and there's limits on that. But because Milwaukee is now a sanctuary city and a blue city and a majority-minority city, the Republicans have no obligation to help Milwaukee. Some of it is race, some of it is politics. Most of it is race. Even if Milwaukee was a Republican voting city, I don't think that we would get the increases in revenue that some other majority white conservative towns have gotten. You got some towns in Milwaukee or in Wisconsin rather got 1,000% increase in shared revenue. I think we got 10%, but they're also costing the city more because we had to raise our sales taxes and we got to pay for a minimum of 1,600 police officers by law. That was Act 12. And that's going to cost us more money too. So what the Republicans can do with the budget is they know that Milwaukee, especially minority communities, black people in particular, again, another issue that has gone unresolved, our incomes are lower. So if you make Milwaukee pay a higher regressive tax, the sales tax, then our poverty will be even more entrenched. They are playing chess. We're playing tic-tac-toe. The other question Mal has is, did you see Texas had 2 different booths for voters during their elections, one for blues and one for reds? What is your thought on that? Is it actually real? So they had voting centers. So if you went to vote at one location during the presidential election of 2024, because it was a primary election, and in Texas, the political parties have much more influence on primary elections than the state elections bureaucracy does. So the Republicans were like, well, because it's a primary election, you got to vote at these voting centers. Well, not all people knew about the voting centers. It was a way in which they could cause more chaos and confusion. And so what some of these midterm elections that took place on Tuesday were designed to do was test the chaos and confusion that they likely will try and implement in November. Now, Jasmine Crockett, she wasn't going to win because it's Texas. And so, of course, whenever there are voting irregularities, we wonder if they participated in the loss of the black candidate. I mean, maybe a few percentage of people decided not to vote that would have otherwise voted for Jasmine Crockett. But James Tallarico is just, he's too white, he's too polished, he's non-offensive, he's extremely moderate, he's right down the middle. We know who Jasmine Crockett is. Something like 68% of white voters voted for Tallarico. So even if there were white voters, because these are Democratic primary voters, which are different. These are the most liberal people in Texas. Democratic primary voters are very, very different. They tend to be much more open to racial diversity in their representation. Primary voters are. They still voted for the white candidate, and they voted for the man. We got to learn a lesson. Even though Texas is not always the best example of where American politics is, it ain't that far off. We can continue to run powerful, intelligent, outspoken black women because it makes us feel good. Because they say what everybody else is thinking, and it's one for the history books. A black woman getting elected to the U.S. Senate representing the state of Texas, that is, as Tory Lowe would say, powerful. That's kind of how Tory says it. He says powerful. Isn't that how he says it? Kind of. But those candidates are going to continue to lose. I know that I don't know, do we want another black president? And it's not on my priority list. I'm at a point now where I want somebody that can win. Because if we get another black president or a black woman, whatever y'all want, I don't even know what y'all want anymore, then the expectations on them will be impossibly high. Because all of the things that Donald Trump rolled back, they're going to have to re-implement and then go back in 100 years worth of history and address that institutional harm as well. It's just, and they won't be successful. And the follow-up to that, because if 2 terms of Barack Obama brought us Donald Trump, I'm starting to rethink the decision to have Barack Obama in the first place. We're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be back for hour 3.
Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
Ben Bruss here from ESPN Milwaukee, and I just want to officially declare I will be dominating Bowling for Babies.
Ben, it's charity bowling. You don't get a championship ring.
There are lanes, there are competitors, and there's going to be greatness.
Okay, but more importantly, WTMJ Cares Bowling for Babies is going to benefit the Milwaukee Diaper Mission.
So while I'm throwing strikes,
you're helping local families get essential baby supplies.
But we are also competing for 4 tickets to a Green Bay game and a VIP tailgating experience.
Sign up today at WTMJ.com/cares.
When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, I had so many questions. I didn't even know that it was cancer. Now I do. It is cancer. Blood cancer. It's actually one of more than 100 different types, and they're all treated differently. Now, unlike some other forms of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time. I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available, because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Truth Nation, stand up and tap in. This is 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Butterfly, searching for a relax, pulling from the jazz stacks cause it's Sunday. On the air is incense, sounds to the ceiling, trying to get this feeling since Monday. Looking out the window, watching all the people go, bugging off a funny vibe cause now it seems they're equal. Wonder what would Train say, wonder what my pop say, bugging off the calmness in the apple. Who me, I'm coolin' in New York, I'm chillin' in New York. The hoods is on my block and the brothers at the court.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. You know, I love the intellectual banter that's going on via the YouTube chat. If you want to join us, go to youtube.com or open up a YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, search 1017 The Truth, and you'll be able to participate in the chit chat. Locked and Lovely says to LaRon, it is political entities like the Aldermanic Common Council that give voices and credence to homeowners and renters alike. If the municipality doesn't have the ACC, what does that mean? ACC, the homeowners have the power. Donald says to Linda, it's not my intention to offend you. Oh, somebody got offended. What y'all in here talking about? Don't be offended, people. Don't do that. But no, I love the debate. Linda, you went a little too far with this comment. Linda says, I promise Sherwin can resolve all black disparities in this city/state. Don't put that on me. Please don't. No, I can't. I can just elucidate the problem. And I can give you the history of the problem, and I can show you how the problem has evolved to where it's turned into a situation where it looks like the black community is just collapsing on itself, and it is inept. If you starve people of resources, ultimately they're going to get reactionary. If we see everybody else building and improving and excelling around us, and we are working and contributing to the benefit of other people, even people that have arrived here recently, and the only reason why they can have any semblance of a fairly decent life, even though they arrived here from another country, another nation, another nationality, they had their own government, they had their own economy, they had their own democracy. They didn't like it. So they said, oh, well, we're going to come to Milwaukee. And the reason why they even get a level of respect and have some constitutional protections is because of our civil rights movement. And then we overlook the very black people that created this social foundation so that people from other places and spaces, it was illegal for Asians, it was illegal for Latinos and Hispanics. They had zero rights. Our civil rights movement recognized all people so they can benefit. And they decide they want to come here. Okay, cool. I'm not telling y'all not to come. But then when you have a council that we have worked for generations to convince black people, to organize black people, and to educate black people so that they can vote. And when we had numbers in our favor, we'd vote for our candidates, our majority black candidates in majority black districts. Because with the education system, let me just go back to that for a second. With the education system being as faulty as it is incumbent upon a handful of us to educate our entire community on even how to vote, what it does, what's the purpose. And then when they vote, we got to tell them about ordinances, tell them about bills, tell them about laws, tell them about committees and why they need to show up and testify at a committee. A lot of that is incumbent on us. And we get to a point where we're there and we have 8 out of 15 members, that is a majority, of the Milwaukee Common Council. Every piece of legislation that lands on Chevy's desk should be some sort of remedy or at least address the issues or mention the issues that have gone unresolved back when we didn't have a majority black Common Council. Does that make sense to you? Do you think that white folks, let's say there was a community that was all black, and black folks just voted for their own interests, and they voted to build themselves houses and create jobs for themselves, and there was a black hospital, and all the black schools and this black community had all the best resources and the best teachers. Imagine this black community. It was a small percentage of white folks who just got screwed over. But as time went on, maybe that black population in that majority black town, it aged. Or say maybe they moved away, and then the handful of white people in that town, they grew in population and they grew in number, and then finally, after many, many years, they had a majority white legislative body. Now, remember, prior to, this was a black town. There were monuments built to blackness, black schools, black churches, black businesses, and the white unemployment level was very high, and the white poverty level was very high because it was a black town for black people, and we did everything for one another. We gave each other contracts, paid each other a whole bunch of money. Imagine this black utopia. I know it's a fantasy, but humor me for a second. But then finally, these white folks who've lived in this town saw all of this black wealth accumulate on their backs and all these big, beautiful houses that black people live in and these beautiful, wonderful hospitals and all the health care in the black community and all the money that the blacks were making. And then finally, this white population in this town, they finally had a majority, and they voted a majority white members of their common council. Do you think the first piece of legislation that they would create would be a sanctuary city for Mexicans? You think they would do that? They would say, no. We are going to address all of the disparities that we have suffered because this town had been majority black, and we have suffered, and we have been poor, we have been homeless, we have been jobless, we have been without health care. The first thing they would do, not us though, never us. I want to read something from an unlikely legislator, Representative Bob Donovan to Milwaukee Common Council. He says, do your job. From Madison, Representative Bob Donovan, a Republican from Greenfield, issued the following statement after the Milwaukee Common Council passed resolutions that essentially amount to self-declaration of Milwaukee as a sanctuary city. So, Mao, if you're still listening, this goes to your point as to why the state legislature doesn't do more for Milwaukee, because when you have Republicans controlling the state budget, and of course Milwaukee contributes a lot of money to that state budget, why we don't get more of our money back is because Milwaukee wastes its legislative power on stuff like calling Milwaukee a sanctuary city. So not only will we draw the ire and be on a list hated by Donald Trump, we're going to draw the ire from the legislative entity at the state that gives Milwaukee its operating revenue. Quote, the Common Council are injecting themselves into the national debate with symbolic resolutions that do nothing except antagonize Washington. Instead, they should be getting back to the basics of local governance, the work they were elected to do. Bob, I couldn't agree with you more, and me and him do not agree. I don't even agree how Bob Donovan uses the bathroom, but we agree on this. At a time when national homicides across the nation have plummeted, Milwaukee continues to increase. What are we doing about that? Why are they not paying a little more attention to paving their streets and fixing potholes? Why are they not ensuring the street lights come on at night so citizens feel safe walking in their community? Why are they not exploring ways to take advantage of state legislation to consolidate city services at a time when the city budget is already tight? Why are they not speaking about the homeless, drug dealing, or the prostitution that have wreaked havoc on our streets? What are they doing about the boarded up businesses and homes that you see throughout our neighborhoods? The reality is they are doing nothing but grandstanding for national issues to the detriment of their constituents. After seeing what the council is up to, I long for the days when the biggest debate was the streetcar. Believe me, I never thought I would say that. Now let's talk to a foremost expert on local politics. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Sherwin. I couldn't believe you said maybe we shouldn't have, elected a Democratic President Barack Obama. I said, no, he didn't say that. Do you know?
Bob, those days are over, and a lot of the work that he did has been evaporated. It was nice while it lasted, but look what we're dealing with. We are now, I want people to appreciate the fact that we are in a forever war that we are going to lose. We've lost this war after 72 hours. Is it worth it? We just came out of 2 wars. So it's 2026, Bob, right? So we are 26, we're on our second quarter century of the 21st century. Right, so for the first 26 years of the 21st century, we have been at war 95% of the 21st century. And we are back at war again. This is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, 2026. And we are at war again.
So he couldn't have won 3 terms. He won 2 terms, not 1, so.
Bob, those days are over. That America does not, listen to me, Bob, listen real good. That America doesn't exist anymore. It's only in history books. Look where we're at right now. It was great when he was elected, but we also thought that America was going to stay on that trajectory. It's not. It went backwards at least 100 years.
Sherwin, people are sending their kids to college, working, eating, running around, trying to. They don't have to. They know now. They know now. And Biden tried so hard to make us equal. He really tried. And they messed up, and they were scared a little bit when Biden.
Bob, there's a 6 million pages of documents that basically says the president of the United States is a pedophile. Sit with that for a second. And he's talking, they sending their kids to college. The American experiment has failed, and we're at a war where service members are going to lose their lives, and America's going to lose another war, and it's going to cost us trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. We are in a worse position right now than I think that we were when Barack Obama got elected. And we have no idea what the economy is doing because they won't even report labor statistics. So we don't even know how well the economy is doing. I know consumer debt is at $1 trillion. That ain't a good thing. A mortgage is at 6%, keeping people out of buying houses. There's nothing sweet about what's going on right now, Bob. We can't romanticize about when Obama was in office. We got to stop doing that. Those days are gone.
Sure. people understand they went too far. They're following Rush Limbaugh's kind of way and Hannity kind
Bob, I
of
don't
way.
think you
But
get it.
they know they messed up. They know they messed up. Donald Trump couldn't make a basket if they were voting for that now. He's toast, man. That man is toast.
Bye-bye.
You know?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We'll see. All right, then. All right, okay. Then,
talk to you.
All right, now. Okay, then. Probably shouldn't even have answered that. Oh, look. Now, hold on now. Listen here, Al. Look now. We had this discussion already. We're going to need you at about a 4.
Wonderful. Well, we're coming with facts today. So what kind of stove you have in your house? You have a wood stove, electric stove, or a gas stove?
A wood stove. People still have those? I got a gas stove.
Okay, I would like to ask you to turn all the fire up and open the oven door. With everything you have said, okay, today, white people are still the number one leaders in crime, from druggies to failures to mediocre men. And a lot of them have no soul. That's why they play the victim. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you said the Common Council want to make this a sanctuary city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now keep in mind, majority of the Common Council barely like each other. Okay, we're going to keep that 100. But what I thought about with that was I thought about skin color and hair, right? It'd be easier to ask for them to make it a sanctuary city than to fight for black people issues. Because, see, if you fight for black people issues, now you got to make mediocre whitey look in the mirror and see his wrongdoings. But if you say make it a sanctuary city, it's easier to push it off to the side. Because when have you ever known the Common Council? Because, you know, the last time when Cavalier was in the Common Council, he got into it with that other lady and said she was racist a couple of years ago. And, you know, a lot of them really don't like each other. So why would they fight for black issues when a lot of them are indoctrinated for whitey? They're not. And the only thing when it comes to the white man that they will ask the white man for is low-income housing. Just like when they was in the Shepherd Express a couple of years ago, I think it was Malele cards on the side, Cavalier Johnson, they all had their hard hats on and hard hats and shovels because they were talking about how they go make the old welfare building low income with a food pantry and mental health when it's a mental health building right behind low income and right behind that building over there. So, of course, they're going to ask for something for somebody with the skin color and hair because it makes them look like they really care. But they're not going to go for black issues. If they go for black issues, it's going to be something to keep them destitute and impoverished. That's why every time something happens, low income, mental health. But let it be something about education, equality. You know, they're not going to go for no issue. Just like when they were selling the cars, the Kias, and Malele was on TV talking about we going to sue Kia, but not tell these parents, raise your black-ass kids. So if it's something that's not going to question the white man to stop doing his bull sugar honey iced tea, they're not going to do it. And the one thing I would like to ask you, and the other thing I would like to say to you common councils, stop using 53206 for your goddamn pity party, okay? Stop that. Because some people ain't going to vote for you regardless. And then the thing I would like to ask you, Mr. Hughes, because I know you have a lot of finesse and you in all areas, have you ever thought about getting a personal trainer? Because if you get a personal trainer, because you got some size on you, and I know you got some power, you get a personal trainer in boxing, it might be a time you might have to hit somebody in their face and make their teeth bow-legged. Okay? And then maybe 6 months after that, take up jiu-jitsu. So just in case, you know, if you kick them in the right side of their face, then their lazy eye, then their left eye can be pigeon-toed. and not needed. So I just wanted to share those things with you because I know you moving and grooving. But yeah, get you a personal trainer so you can redo them teeth bow-legged. Because somebody gonna try you one day because you're very educated and you just keep it 100. So I just wanted to drop them gems on you, and I want all y'all to have yourself a good day. But they ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna ask for black people issues. Cavalier Johnson, he's indoctrinated by the whites. Lele Cox, she ain't going to get down and dirty on black issues because you remember when that guy called your show and talked about how they was acting up, and she told that guy she wasn't getting involved. She fell back. So if it's anything mediocre to keep black people destituted and impoverished, they'll be all for it. But if it's anything that push for excellence, greatness, education, and dedication and motivation to move forward, they're not going to go for it because then they got to go against the white man. And then keep in mind, your words is black people get too personal, and then they decide to be the N-word. Have a great day, y'all. Bye-bye.
Okay. Get you a personal trainer and make them teeth bow-legged. I like that phrase. All right, well, I'm going to take a break, and while I'm on commercial break, I'm going to research personal trainers so I can learn the jiu-jitsu because I got some size on me. And somebody going to try me one day, and I'm going to make somebody's teeth bow-legged. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's recognizing that there are people in the world that only have one word on their mind and heart when they become emotional when something happens to someone they like. They become irrational, they become fixated, and they do to others what they believe was done to them. The one thing everybody in America right now today, with the death of Charlie Kirk, the one thing they need to fear is retaliation.
Listen to The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Every child deserves a school that sees their brilliance. At Milwaukee College Prep, they believe in high expectations, strong character, and academic excellence starting as early as age of 3. MCP scholars continue to outperform their peers across Milwaukee. And the best part about it all, Milwaukee College Prep is tuition free. If you're looking for a school that partners with you, challenges your child, and prepares them for college and beyond, Milwaukee College Prep is the place. Visit MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com to learn more. That's MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving. You're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/Versity on King to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
There was the expectation that when Barack Obama was elected president that he could do a lot of stuff for black people, and he did, but he couldn't do so specifically in the name of black people. Here's an example. We were the most unhealthy and underinsured cohort of Americans, and so therefore there was the Affordable Care Act, which another signal to black people was it was partially funded by tanning salons. Think about that. We didn't get it. I had to explain it to folks. They didn't understand what Barack Obama was doing, but he expected us to be better students of the federal government because we finally had a black executive. So we knew that we were the most underinsured and the sickest and couldn't afford to go to the doctor. So we get the Affordable Care Act. And to pay for it, who goes tanning? No, seriously, who goes to tanning salons? White people do. White people were, the tanning salons had an additional 10% tax specifically for the Affordable Care Act. There was no other industry that was taxed like that. So Barack Obama was like, okay, black people are the most uninsured, underinsured, the sickest, and could better benefit from more health care investment because the Affordable Care Act was not just getting health insurance, it was investing in health care clinics in black communities where there were few or none. And he made white people pay for it. So that was something that he did for us, but a lot of folks didn't read between the lines. So if you just do an overview of Barack Obama's presidency, you think he was just a regular old imperialist American president, but he actually did things for our community, but they weren't overt. The council can, though. That's the difference. Obama was limited because you're the chief executive of the United States, where you got to deal with all these different constituencies, and if you do something in favor of one, then another one will sue you, and then you got to deal with the courts, you got to deal with Congress. So he was limited in how race-specific he could be. But he could take an issue that black people were suffering from disproportionately and sign legislation to deal with that issue, but he couldn't just say, oh, this is for black people. The council can do those kinds of things, and they didn't. Here's a little refresher course for you. A study of the contracted deeds for all subdivisions in Wauwatosa shows the extent to which racial restrictions affected the racial makeup of the community. 51 of the 100 subdivisions with restrictive covenants include clauses that prohibit ownership or residence by persons not of the white race. These racial restrictions were initiated by 27 realty companies and 24 individual landowners. Wauwatosa shows a total of 388 subdivisions. 216 had no restrictions whatsoever. 65 were not listed in the Milwaukee County tract records. 5 were listed as vacated. 1 had no tract number, and 1 had a wrong listing of the tract record. These racial restrictions became more significant when the racially restricted areas were charted out on a map of the community. Excluding the parkway systems, Milwaukee County institutions, grounds, county clubs, and industrial districts, which dominate a significant amount of land, approximately 1/3 of Wauwatosa, the racial restrictions appear on about half of the remaining land. 2 major clusters of restricted areas are apparent in northern and southwestern Wauwatosa. The first racial restriction in Wauwatosa was placed on Washington Highlands in 1919. This covenant stated, quote, "At no time shall the land included in Washington Highlands or any part thereof or any building thereon be purchased, owned, leased, or occupied by any person other than the white race. This prohibition is not intended to include domestic servants while employed by the owner of occupied by and land included in the tract." The deed stated that these restrictions would run with the land until January 1st, 1950, with automatic renewals every 20 years. Quote, no persons other than the white race shall occupy any building on said tract, but this covenant shall not prevent occupancy of persons of a race other than the white race who are domestic servants of the owner or occupant of said buildings. In the 1900s, throughout the United States, real estate operators, local real estate boards, financial institutions, and title companies joined together to keep black families out of the residential areas through the use of race-restrictive covenant. These agreements, usually drawn up before residential land was even subdivided, requires all subsequent owners not to sell, lease, or otherwise convey their property to certain groups for a specified time period of 20 to 25 years. Reflecting on the effectiveness of the racially restrictive covenant in keeping black families out of suburbs and newer subdivisions, Robert C. Weaver wrote, "It seems apparent in retrospect that the rise of racial covenants and other instruments of enforced segregation were more the result of manipulation than the reflection of a spontaneous movement. Intense resistance to the concept of Negro neighbors was usually concentrated in given neighborhoods. It became widespread only after the professional advocates of enforced residential segregation had spent much time and money to propagandize its necessity and desirability. The fact that many of those whom the propaganda were addressed were insecure whites, intent on and anxious in affecting social and economic mobility assumed a responsive audience. And even to this day, economically insecure white people are the most racist because they think if black people get ahead or get something or get equality, they will have the most to lose. In fact, we have a promo that is running right now that says that exact same thing. It is a common theme that exists in this country. But every so often we get an opportunity to right the ship, to review past wrongs that have gone unaddressed. One of those times is now. The whole point of us telling you all to vote is so that we can get the kinds of majorities on boards, on councils, and in legislatures that can begin to address our issues when other boards and councils and commissions did not or made our issues worse. And when we get the opportunity and have the majority and have the ability to legislate in our favor, we choose another group. From the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, in recent months, the Common Council has been making efforts to address how to handle potential federal immigration operations in Milwaukee. In February, council members floated the idea of legislation that would ban masks on law enforcement officers and their ICE Out news conference. That was a legislation that was created by Alderman Mark Chambers that was stolen by Jocasta Zamaripa because it would have been more politically expedient for her because she is running for statewide office. A day before the council met to discuss the new legislation, the Milwaukee Police Department modified policies to explicitly prohibit officers from concealing their identities with face masks. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Grab the dial and crank it up, baby, because Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is spinning its Winning Hits collection. Over the next 3 months, you could win a share of over $1 million in prizes. On top of thousands in cash and reward play, you could win one of 3 new Ford vehicles in the grand finale drawings on March 27th. Just play with your rewards card to earn entries. Press play on the Winning Hits collection, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Have you ever been contacted by a stranger who asked you to invest? Maybe it was a new online love interest, investment coach, or social media influencer. In reality, it was likely a scammer who wanted to take control of your money and disappear. Before investing, talk to someone you already know and trust to verify if an opportunity is too good to be true. Learn more at datcp.wi.gov. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Join me tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with me, Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals and the plates are piled high with flavor and lakefront sunrises set the stage for unforgettable days. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. My birthday is Friday, so is Zach's. Birthday boys. Whoop, whoop. What y'all doing for my birthday? Y'all gonna give me something? What y'all want? My Cash App, my Venmo? What y'all trying to do, though? You know what I mean? I remember I posted my, what's the one with the dollar sign? Cash App? I posted my Cash App one year just to see what would happen. I was like, hey, y'all want to just, you know what I mean? Throw your boy a little birthday love. I had it up maybe, I don't know, like 2 days before my birthday and then a day after. You know how much money I got? $1. $1. And it was from a white dude. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope he don't expect nothing for this. $1? Come on. Let's see what y'all talking about in the commentary section. I'm assuming David says, I'm for sanctuary cities. So here, let me give you a few here. Where should I start at? Quito, that's in Ecuador. Tijuana, that's in Mexico. Curitiba, that's in Brazil. Habana, that's in Cuba. Cali, that's in Colombia. Manaus, that's in Brazil. Belo Horizonte in Brazil. Salvador, Brazil. Fortaleza, Brazil. Guayaquil, Ecuador. Medellín, Colombia. Brasilia in Brazil. Buenos Aires, Argentina. Caracas, Venezuela. Santiago, Chile. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Bogotá, Colombia. Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City in Mexico. Lima in Peru. And Sao Paulo in Brazil. Those are all sanctuary cities. They don't have to be designated. I'm just saying, they already are. And that was 20. There's how long is my list? I have 13,000 cities in Latin America that are all sanctuary cities already. Why you got to make Milwaukee one? There's already, 13,000 is not enough? If you go to Mexico City, you don't have to worry about them changing any laws. Trump can't get you there. He can't. He can try. We have a whole continent, really two, North and South America, Central America, Mexico, Panama, El Salvador, Guatemala, Costa Rica. All of the cities in all of those countries are sanctuary. They have their own militaries, they have their own elections, they have their own economies, their own culture, their own food, their own systems of education. They already have it, already sanctuaries. And if people don't want to live in those sanctuary cities, okay, I can't force you. But what you can't do is bed down somewhere else where there were and are unresolved social issues and then want or desire that city that you chose to come to, ignoring the other 13,000 cities that provided sanctuary. You know, screw those cities. I want to go to Milwaukee. Make Milwaukee a sanctuary city. And I don't even know if those populations, those migrant populations, were even asking for it. I think that it was being used for political expediency. And also, let's use Milwaukee to draw the ire of Donald Trump because we're a part of the resistance. Black folks are sick of resisting. And we don't exactly welcome more of it because our resistance has just been trying to get rights. Not even more than what anybody else has, just to get the same. And we've had to rebel, we've had to revolt, and we've had to die to get sameness, okay? And we're tired of it. We don't need to egg Trump on any more than he already is. Let's just let the city do city business. Let the city of Milwaukee address its municipal issues, especially those that have been unresolved for one of the largest one of the largest populations. Can't even call us a minority population anymore. Why is that so hard to ask? You know what we did? You know what we did to show that we wanted issues impacting the African-American community addressed? We elected a majority black common council, meaning even some white folks in this city voted and said, you know what, maybe African-Americans do need a majority on this council because even white people in the city see the unresolved issues that are impacting them in the city of Milwaukee that stem from unresolved issues with black folks. And now we got 13,001 sanctuary cities. So that's cool. That gets us literally nothing, gets us on a list that we don't want to be on. And Alex Brower, who is a Democratic socialist who is on the Milwaukee Common Council, he represents the 3rd District, said he wants to be on Trump's list. It's not a good list to be on. But to Alex Brower's credit, he represents the wealthiest, highest educated aldermanic district in the city. So his constituents don't need anything. If you plow their snow and pick up their garbage, they don't care. They know that the property taxes in the 3rd district, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year, they know their property taxes aren't going to go down, but they can afford it. So they have no real desires, as opposed to, say, the 15th aldermanic district, which probably is less than 3 miles away from the 3rd. Poverty is double digits. Unemployment is double digits. Maybe 50% of the community has a high school diploma. There's high infant mortality rates, high healthcare disparity rates, just 3 miles away. So the 15th district, which is represented by Alderman Russell Stamper, could probably use more resources and more federal funding to address some of those literal life or death issues. But no, should I list the sanctuary cities again in case any of you want to? No? You want? What's at the bottom of the list here? Santo Domingo. That's in the Dominican Republic. Managua. That's in Nicaragua. Hey! Panama City. Panama. San Luis, Brazil. Barquisimeto in Venezuela. Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Ay, Monterrey, Mexico. Callao. Oh, I like that one. Callao, Peru. Campinas, Brazil. Guatemala City, Ciudad de Guatemala, in Guatemala. Montevideo, Uruguay. Barranquilla. Oh, I like that one too. Barranquilla, Colombia. Guarulhos, Brazil. Ay! Rosario, Argentina. Is this racist? Because I'm dancing. No, I just like this. Is this salsa music? But you got to move your hips. You know those Latin lovers. Be careful with them. They'll take your girl. I'm serious. Fellas, you think you're safe? You wait till Miguel comes up wearing some real tight satin pants and his shirt will be unbuttoned down to his navel. He ain't got no chest hair. He's smooth. He's shiny. Excuse me, young lady. Why did you look so sad? Oh, my boyfriend isn't treating me right. Well. You have come to the right place. Hey! And then he started dancing. He started moving his hips, and then he grabs her. And then he twirls her around. The next thing you know, you know what happens after that. Fellas, Milwaukee becomes a sanctuary city. You're going to lose your wife to Miguel. Because he's coming up here. He ain't just coming up here to take jobs. He's coming up here to get some chocolate butt. I'm going to get canceled. How much time I got left in the show? There are issues that we've fought long and hard for. We've gone to Madison and tried to lobby state legislators. We've tried to get more resources. Falls on deaf ears. We've tried to work with existing versions and previous versions of the Common Council. Falls on deaf ears. We figured just like the Democrats have to have a majority in Congress to get anything done, the Democrats need a majority on the courts. They need a Democratic president. They need a Democratic control of the House of Representatives and the Senate to get anything done. If you're African American, you need the exact same thing. Think of race almost like political party affiliation. When Republicans have the majority, they do things for other Republicans and other conservatives, right? When white people have majorities, they do things for other white people. You have majority white countries that say in Europe, all their health care is free, all their college is free. Why? Because it's all white countries doing things for other white people. But as soon as those countries become diverse, they start to unravel some of those social safety nets because they don't want to do that stuff for other people. So if you have a Nigerian population, as an example, that's moving into Norway, Finland, and Sweden, as an example, those Nigerians that may have social issues and social problems in those Scandinavian countries may not be able to do anything about their social issues until there's a majority Nigerian elected population. In Milwaukee, we have it. And we're a sanctuary city. It's not going to help address the issues because we as black people get blamed for everything that happens in our community, even though it is not necessarily our fault. But then there are some of us that want those issues remedied or reduced, because I get tired of reading the comments section. Whenever there's a shooting or whenever there's a crime, and this is going to be one of the worst crime summers y'all have ever seen. Usually crime and violent crime and homicides slow down in the cold weather months. Homicides did not take the winter off, which only leads me to believe that this summer is going to be a doozy. But we do have a majority African-American Common Council. It's just they're more interested in, other things. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Coming with straight truth.
We can do anything when it comes to being organized, when it comes to making sure that we're active, when it comes to making sure that we're holding people accountable and making sure that we get something out of the deal. Y'all don't know how to make deals. Y'all mad at Donald J. Trump because he's trying to make deals or trying to say that he's the master of the art of the deal. Well, okay, what deals is you trying to make?
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update on the new 101.7 The Truth.
The City Conference Boys Championship game did not disappoint last weekend. In the Gold Division title game, the two-time defending conference champs, the Milwaukee Juneau Pioneers, went toe-to-toe with the Milwaukee Hamilton Wildcats. This game was a back-and-forth battle, but the Pioneers made the plays down the stretch to pull out a 76-72 win behind a great performance of Gonzaga recruit and junior player Dooney Johnson, who dropped 28 points in the victory. And in the Blue Division, the Golden Meyer Owls did what they have done all year long in conference play, is just win, as they defeated the Audubon Cardinals 87-79 behind a strong performance from their senior guard Caleb Colbert, clinching the Blue Division crown. And lastly, in the White Division, the Bayview Redcats left no doubt cruising past the Vincent Vikings 90-64 to win the White Division Conference Tournament.
This has been your Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference Basketball Weekly Update.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but the way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for more than 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices, proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving. You're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/Versity on King to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I should do a little mix. I ain't really DJ'd in a long time. Uh-oh. Welcome out to Sherwin Skateland. Party people, I'm here all weekend. Hey.
That transition was kind of bad. That was bad too.
My transitions are peak. Let's see what else we got. Best DJ Milwaukee's ever seen. What did we learn today? Nothing. I think we've learned much to anything. It's frustrating because you can see how, other groups will band together and they will use their cooperation and their organization for political purposes. And we know the Democrats need majorities in order to get things done, to get their political agenda reflected. And it takes many years of organizing and a lot of door knocking and phone calling and fundraising, and boom, they finally get it. Could you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if the Republicans had legislative and executive majorities for the next 100 years and they just implemented nothing but conservative Republican policies for the next century, and then finally, 101 years from now, the Democrats have legislative and executive majorities after 100 years of Republican control. Imagine this. And then the first piece of legislation the Democrats put together with their newfound majorities after 100 years is a Republican policy. Let's ban books. Let's have prayer in schools and have nativity scenes in front of courthouses. Let's ban the gays. Could you imagine that? Makes no sense. took a long time for African Americans to get a legislative majority on the Common Council. That's all the legislation that should be churning out should be reflective of. All of the years in which we did not have these majorities. But also come to find out that the Puerto Rican Common Council president can very easily pick off and fragment African Americans on that council. If they get an opportunity or a committee assignment of their choice, they can be on their favorite committee. And in order for them to maintain their position on that favorite committee, they've got to vote against the wishes of the other African American council members. They do it because I've seen it. I've seen it. It's unfortunate. Well, a lot of it, though, is people's own self-interest. There really was a time, and I remember it, and it was normal for me because that's just what it was. You got in public service because you wanted to make a positive impact that would improve people's lives. And from that, prioritizing the people, prioritizing the public, prioritizing good policy, that's how you made a name for yourself. Now people just want all the attention on themselves. They want to grandstand. They want to have press conferences. It's not about many, many years of hard work and showing measurable improvement. It's not about that. It's about what can I get as an individual. It's like we have turned our council and other legislative bodies into Instagram. I want more likes. Me, focus on me. This is what I'm doing. I want to stand out, even if they have to go against the best wishes of not just the legislative body, but the city itself, because they want to get recognized. They want to go national. They want to be seen nationally. I would feel a lot better if the city of Milwaukee wanted to prioritize its national exposure, not just individual people. But that's me, and maybe I'm different than most. And I still hold on to the fact that, you know, maybe one day some of the issues that we're living with still that are unaddressed, some of those questions will get answered and some of those resources will be put where they need to be. I haven't checked the text line all day. So if you text the show at 833-212-1017, I apologize for not getting to you. Got a couple. Leon says it's crazy how the majority of the aldermans are black, but you take a drive to Midtown and look at the condition that it's in. You can't blame them for that. Walmart overbuilt. I don't know what Lowe's was thinking even moving into that neighborhood. I'm just not sure what their long-term plan was. Typically, when you have large, big box home improvement stores, there should be a major plan to do either housing development, so build new housing, even though Al doesn't like affordable housing. We need it. Or you're increasing home ownership, because someone who lives in an area where there is high home ownership, let's say Brookfield, they're not driving to 60th and Capitol to buy lumber. Fonz said, it's a unique name. He said, I stopped being Democrat a few years ago because stuff like this. I'm FBA. I don't know what that means. I can trace both my parents' families back to early 1700s Mississippi. He said, I support ICE. Ann Coulter is FBA biggest supporter. What is FBA? She says, we don't owe illegal immigrants anything. She said, we owe blacks from slavery and Jim Crow. Fonz, Ann Coulter is really not who you want to be following. I'm not anti-immigrant, but you have to know that they're assuming risk in coming here. And it's not the responsibility of us who have assumed risk because we're black to help mitigate somebody else's risk. They made a choice. I listed a whole bunch of cities that are already sanctuary to where none of those folks have to fear being deported. There's a whole bunch of them. There's thousands of them in a whole part of the world. There's a whole continent dedicated to sanctuary. But they don't want to be there. Okay, cool. You come here at your own risk. But I don't think that America, especially a city that has no impact on immigration, I think it's just a waste of many, many years of trying to get majority black legislative bodies, I think it's a waste. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks